Good afternoon. I would like to welcome everyone in the room and online to our Eccles Alumni Forum. My name is Bailey Scoville. I sit on the Alumni Forum Committee of the David Eccles Alumni Network Board, which plans and hosts the Eccles Alumni Forums. The Eccles Alumni Forums offer a chance to connect with fellow alumni, explore emerging industry trends, address community needs, and discover ways to advance our careers and contributions.
My name is Isaac Roach. I also sit on the Alumni Forum Committee. We are excited to introduce our Eccles School community to our new Dean, Dr. Kurt Dirks. First, I would like to take a moment to introduce our moderator, alumna Paige Erickson, Chair of the Eccles Advisory Board. Paige has more than 3 decades of experience leading sales, marketing, and business development teams, steering business turnarounds, and creating revenue and organizational growth strategies in highly competitive and global business markets. Over her career, Paige held senior executive leadership roles in market-leading technology companies including Adobe, Sage Software, CA Technologies, BMC Software, and the IBM Corporation. Retiring from Adobe in 2022 as the managing director of Adobe Workfront's $25 million international business, Paige is now serving on the boards of private equity companies. She earned an MBA from the University of Texas at Austin McCombs School of Business and her undergraduate Bachelor of Science in Marketing from the David Eccles School of Business. Fun fact, Paige was the first female ASUU student body president. Please join me in welcoming Paige and Dean Dirks.
Thank you, Isaac. Okay. Thank you very much, and welcome to the Fall Forum, charting a bold ascent, introducing Dean Dirks to the David Eccles School of Business. Kurt Dirks became Dean of the David Eccles School of Business on July 1st this year. A renowned researcher and award-winning professor, his expertise lies in leadership and trust within organizations. Before joining the University of Utah, Kurt held Bank of America Professorship of Leadership at Washington University's Olin School of Business and served in various senior leadership roles, including acting provost and vice chancellor of international affairs. At WashU, he focused on student success, founding the Bear Leaders Academy and the Bear Leadership Center, including leading the McDonald International Scholars Academy. His research on trust has been cited nearly 27,000 times and has been covered in popular media such as the New York Times, the Washington Post, LA Times, Business Week, Fortune, and CNN.com. So with that, welcome, Dean Dirks. We're all excited to get to know you better and spend some time this afternoon just having a chat. So as the new Dean of the David Eccles School of Business, why don't we start by having you give us a brief overview of your background. Where did you grow up? Where did you go to school? And what were you doing right before you came to the Eccles School of Business?
You bet. Well, first, thank you all for coming today. Thank you all for those of you who are online to be here joining us. It's a really great part of the community to be here with. And so I'm excited to have this opportunity to talk to everyone, and we'll move that down a little bit. So anyway, I've been, as Paige mentioned, she gave me a good bio of my professional background, a little bit more about me. I grew up in Iowa, grew up on the farm in Iowa, first generation college student there, and so maybe we'll talk a little bit more about that and how it relates to my passion about the school and what I see here. But anyway, grew up in Iowa, went to Iowa State University, and a few places in between. Eventually ended up at Washington University in St. Louis for the last 23 years. And then this opportunity came up, which has been, I think, a perfect fit in so many ways. And so really excited to be here. Paige didn't mention I have a wife, Tasha, who many of you, I think, will meet over time. She'll be at a lot of the football games and be here. I have a daughter who 17, Katie, and a son, Davis, who is 20.
Awesome. So that's okay. We've got a chance to get to know each other over the last few months, and one thing I know we both share a passion for is public universities and the role they play in our communities. As a first-generation college student yourself, what are a few things that impressed you about the Eccles School and the Eccles community that made you excited to come here?
You bet. Certainly one of the things which is reasons I really wanted to be here, as well as in particular, was that we are a public institution that can have that broad impact. I know you and I have talked a lot about that life-changing experience, right? That a public institution like the University of Utah have. In fact, Paige and I have been doing, we've been doing a lot of dinners, and that's actually a theme which has come up again and again on how the U has changed people or their children. That was the same for me. When I went to Iowa State from 25 students to 25,000, it was like a whole new world for me of ideas and people and perspectives. And the same then for when I went to University of Minnesota, doctoral degree, where it also gave me, professionally, a new sense of purpose. And so I wanted to be able to do that, to come to a place which had that opportunity. Again, my wife graduated University of Nebraska, public institution, my son, University of Missouri. So it's been in our blood. And so when I wanted to come somewhere, I wanted to public. And again, as I hear from what we are doing, we're having that impact, and I think we can continue to have that impact. The other thing which I heard coming in, and which is true, is we're on the rise, right? It's a place which, as a state, as a city, and as a school, we're on the rise. Our former Dean Taylor, who is now our president, not only put the Eccles School on the rise, but now as the university has a bold vision, and the business school can be part of that. There are areas that we can lead in, and to be able to have that opportunity to do that was great. And so I feel that energy here, feel that energy from you. And then the last piece was just a fit with the community. I think I've been so impressed with our alumni community that we've had here. And in fact, one of the stories you may remember, you and I were sitting in, it was the final interview meeting with our team, and one of the faculty said, Kurt, if you come here, you have to know that this is not your school, this is their school. And what they meant by that, right, was that this is the community, the business community, the institution, and that stuck with me on it, and it is true, all right? Yeah. The passion that we have from our community, and that is something that I think is really special in terms of that, and something we can really build on.
Yes, completely agree.
Yeah.
One more thing that I think was interesting, I mentioned a little bit, his academic research was in trust and values-based leadership, which I have a passion about those two things as well. But why is trust important in an organization, and what role do you think trust and leadership play with the Eccles School across the campus and within the business community?
You bet. So it's been a fun area of research, and I think important in our world today. A couple thoughts on that. One, and just thinking about why it's important in general for businesses in all kinds of organizations, no matter what organization you're in, I suspect it plays this role. And I was working with sports teams before in my dissertation work, a long time ago now, but one of those coaches, Gene Cady, had a saying which always stuck with me, that trust is one of those things which helps you work in the same cadence and direction as a team. And as people are thinking about their own interests, it prevents people from focusing on self and allows them to kind of focus on a higher vision or a higher goal, a broader objective, something you can't do on your own. And I think as we think about the school, the university, the community, I think that same role plays, right? As we're all working, all the special things we do individually, how do we bring those together to do something more than we can do as individuals? And I think trust plays that role. The other thing, I think, in thinking about the other side of trust is it's not given, it's earned. And so that's something, I guess, a commitment that I have to our community is to think about how to make sure that we as a school earn that trust, that the state places in us as a flagship institution, how I, as the dean, earn trust from our community to be able to achieve what we need to do in those obligations that we have.
Let me switch my questions around. Because of what you just said, oh, you're fixing him?
Fix my.
Okay. A recent topic of conversation in the news in Utah and across the U.S. is centered around the value of a college degree and the role of institutions in higher education. Some people are even questioning the worth of a college degree in today's economic environment. Why does an institution like the University of Utah and the Eccles School of Business still matter?
Well, I think anecdotally, again, we know, right, that this can really have that life-changing experience, how people see and feel about themselves, et cetera, but the data back that up. So our Gardner Policy Institute, which is part of the David Eccles School of Business, has interesting data on this about the differences in Utah of a student who gets, a person who gets a high school education versus an undergraduate degree from anywhere versus a graduate degree. And so if you look at that data from the Gardner Institute, getting an undergraduate degree, 50% higher salary for that, so that very financially, and the graduate degree is double for an undergraduate. You look at other outcomes that they studied also in terms of that, 50% less likely to be, oh no, you're twice as likely to be unemployed without a college degree than with. Health outcomes much higher on that. And so you look at all the data on this on average, I think that's very powerful. And then the state also, the tax, the amount of tax that the state gets from a person with a college degree versus less, twice as much from a person with a college degree, so that investment matters. And I guess I'd like to be a little confident that that's the average, right? I think the Eccles School actually does maybe even a little bit better than average on that, so maybe I'm a little, if I can be a little cocky on that, I would like to say I think we probably even do a little bit better than that on that. So I think the economic data is very clear on it. And then again, anecdotally, I think anyone who goes here would not trade that college education and sending their kids. I know a number of you, in fact, have talked to you, have gotten at least two degrees here, 2 degrees, right? Many of you have gotten 2 degrees, and so I think that's a pretty good piece of evidence on return customers on that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I know you've only been here a few months, but are there a few things that you'd like to share that have resonated with you, and particularly areas that you'd like to focus on? And also, are there any areas where you feel like you'd like to continue the success that's already in place?
You bet. In terms of priorities, maybe I'll start with just priorities, which are pretty straightforward in some degree, and then I'll come to maybe where we can win in those priorities. You know, our priorities, our North Star is our why is the students, right? We are here to help those young people be successful in their life, their career, and that's that obligation which we have and we'll work on every day, and to think about what that means. Second, the community and the business and academic impact on it. Our faculty and people in this building do great work on that. And then certainly the other priority is our reputation, as I feel that we carry the flag, not only for our people, but carry the flag for you, our alumni and friends, carry the flag for the state on that as being the flagship institution. And so the question becomes, how can we win on those to be something where we do that? And there are a few areas where I see we have tremendous strength that also are going to meet the future of business, which also I think actually fit our region, an area. And at least 3 of those, one is on the financial, economic, quantitative analysis piece of it. I think we have faculty who are outstanding in that area. And then we also have other institutions built here, which are great. The Mariner Eccles Institute, which is just upstairs from here, does tremendous work in that area. The Gardner Policy Institute does tremendous work in this area. Our students can go learn on how to run a student investment fund and actually get their hands on doing it. So all kinds of ways on that area where I think we have something special. Second, the entrepreneurial and entrepreneurship that we have. Again, great faculty in that area. We have Lassonde where you can live and learn on that. Very special places come here. Actually, when I was at WashU, I was talking with our Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs and saying I was going to Utah. She said, oh yeah, we've been there to visit because of Lassonde. And so it's a place where we have something special there in terms of that, and it fits the state. And then the last piece, my area of values and leadership, I think we have a great opportunity there. In fact, when we've been doing our dinners, you may recall that that's one of the things that our alumni get most excited about is this, we have to do that. And we have the Goff Institute, Leadership Institute for that and some of our faculty. So I think those are all 3 areas where we have strength already, but I would like to think about potentially doubling down on those areas and getting some feedback on how we can do that, make sure our students are special. And by the way, when you package those, think about a student who comes out with great quantitative skills, an entrepreneurial mindset, and the impact to be a leader driven by their values is a pretty special student that would come around.
Yeah. You know, we've also talked a lot about with Taylor and the vision that he has for the overall university and the reputation. And I wonder if you have any thoughts on the reputation of the business school relative to the university.
You bet. I think certainly we can think about that on a number of different ways. One, in terms of just thinking about our place at the university, I just learned this week we're the first school to actually have so many students graduating that we can no longer fit in the Huntsman Center and families. Think about that. That's a lot of impact, right? And we can lead on that. Other places business can lead out as we think about student outcomes. One of the issues we're going to be working on is the university's graduation rate. I think we are doing some great stuff on that already and making sure all of our students graduate or have a path to graduation should they put the work in. Employment outcomes, I think we have a very strong set of employment outcomes. Business can lead on that area, and we'll be looking at other ways that we can think about it. Other places that business can lead on is, and this was part of what Taylor and Jack before him had built, was his living learning centers on it. Something which we had Lassonde, which opens, and now we have the Epicenter open. Very unique, again, in the country. On this and great opportunities for our students to grow and learn. And so I think the university is thinking about how they replicate that. And so what we do special every day in that programming I think is great. So there's a number of places that business leads on it and business can lead on it.
I bet most of the alumni in this room and online are like myself. They were commuter students, so I think these housing projects and having more students have that first year for sure on campus is a great goal. So I think that the centers are really making it.
We also do, I think, a great job of welcoming the students. A number of our student affairs team is here first day. So anyway, the other fun thing that was fun last week was to get to meet our students, and we have an Eccles welcome out there, and so a lot of energy from that, and I think we do a great job of feeling, you belong here. It's a special place to be. So I can promote the online the videos we did to ask the students on that.
Awesome.
So Instagram on that. We're now a social media place. So that's right.
Just like everywhere, right? Have you thought about the process you envision for developing how you're going to develop your strategy and put your input on the vision that you have for the business school going forward?
You bet. So I mentioned a few of those areas which at least my impression is places we can win on that and how we think about some of those priorities. But a lot of the work will be in the details of that, as well as places, are we missing some areas on that? And that's something that we need to get feedback on from everyone who's involved on the ground on that. So that will involve our faculty who are in the classroom, our staff who work with our students every day, our students who have the experience, and our alumni who are hiring our students, as well as supporting them in many ways. So we're going to have to create a process which will kick off this fall. To get some of that input around there. I think I'll probably scope it around those areas, at least my sense is, so it's not such a big process that people get tired of it by the end and think, thank goodness we're done. But it's something that we come out with energy on and a plan on. But anyway, we'll kick that off this fall. We'll probably actually kick it off with our Eccles Advisory Board, who have some of the great insights, but then we'll provide opportunities for our community to also weigh in on that, and with a target to have a plan done late spring that we can execute for next year.
Awesome. We've talked a lot about just your thoughts on the value of experiential learning and experiences. What are your thoughts on how we can do something to improve that for our students?
You bet. And again, that is an area of strength we have. So I mentioned the 3 areas of the what we do. Actually, the how we do it is actually also something super cool, I think, and very unique. You think about the students, my own kids are that age, right? So I have a sense for at least, different population students, and I've taught in the classroom for a long time now, and get a sense for what is the right way to learn. And certainly part of it is our faculty bring tremendous expertise in the classroom, and they do a great job on that every day. But I think the other magic that happens in helping students to I guess, discover themselves, their passion, and really to learn also happens in experiential, hands-on experiences. Again, I think we have a great base on that. So if you are an Eccles student who's coming in today, you can find, again, almost any area that you have a passion about to be able to do something on. So a student who comes again in finance area can go help to run an investment fund. We also have that in social impact fund. You can do it in there. If you come in and want to learn about leadership, we have the Goff Experiential the Goff Institute, where you can learn to work with a team across all kinds of different areas. If you have entrepreneurship, want to start a business, we have that. Health impact, ethics, so many things. And so I think part of what we need to do is think of two things. One is to bring those together in a coherent story so our students know this about it and what they can do. I think many of them discover it later than they wish, right? So how do we help them discover that? How do we also help our applicants out there about knowing this? My daughter, who's a senior, came to do a visit about 2 weeks ago, and she was not so excited about going to a business school where Dad was dean, but she said she'd do the visit. And so halfway through the day, I get a text that said, "Wow." Like, what's that mean? So at the end of the day, she said, "Wow, you have a lot going on here. This is really amazing." In terms of, she'd been over to Lausanne in the epicenter, and so she said, "Why don't we know about this as much as we might on it?" So I think we have a story that we can tell to bring it, right? Houston, I know you have helped with that, some of our other alumni, so I think we can help tell the story, but we can also secondly think about how we do even a little bit more and bring it together into something that you can only get at the Eccles School in the country, and I think we can do that.
It's a challenge to all of you out there too, actually, to help us with that, because I think one of the things we've learned is that we need more internships for our students, and how can we better do that where they actually get real life experience in businesses as well. So just challenge you to think about if you can hire one of our students as an intern, that would really help give them that experience as well. Okay, crazy subject, but the Paris Olympics just wrapped up, and we are also excited and proud that Salt Lake has been selected to get the 2024 Winter Olympics.
Yes.
2034, sorry. What role do you see the university and the Eccles community playing in that whole Olympic effort?
Yeah, I think what a tremendous opportunity that we have, again, to be able to draw students from all over who can come and, in some way engage in that. And so I think that's what we need to do, be thinking ahead about, but again, thinking about experiential opportunities. Are there ways where we can have our students involved in the planning and the analysis of it, in the, for those who were here at that time, actually maybe putting on, I don't know exactly what that will be, but it is, I think, as we think about if we want to be a place where you can come and, hands-on, what an amazing opportunity to be able to do it. So I think that is very good, and then we can also use that again as a time to, some of it's going to be at the U, so after they come again, we'll get a text saying, "Wow, why don't more people know about coming to the U?" So I think we can use that also as a place in thinking about 10 years from now, when the world is coming here, what do we want to look like?
What's the marketing effort we can do to get it,
and what do we feel like, what is this place 10 years from now? I think we can do something special.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so in a few minutes, we're going to start opening up the audience for questions. So if you're thinking about a question, think about that right now. In the meantime, and also that's true for the people online as well, if you put your questions in, Francis is monitoring that line, so we'll be able to have go to your questions. But I'm going to do a quick lightning round of questions.
Lightning round, all right.
Just fun ones, really, just so people can get to know you more as a person. So what's your favorite color?
So I've got always wearing blue suits to work.
I have noticed that.
But that's not my favorite color, right? I got to bleed red. Game tomorrow night. Go Utes.
Future color. That's right. Good. Okay. So what's one thing that you've done this summer in Salt Lake that you're looking forward to sharing with your family?
You bet. So we just bought a house up in Arlington Hills, and so if you walk right behind our house, there's all these trails up there, and so that's been the way I've been trying to keep in shape as on the weekends. Sometimes after work, if it's been don't get off too late and do that. So it's amazing. So many amazing outdoor activities around here.
Yeah, so great.
Yeah.
Okay, this is not a fast question, but I have always wanted to ask you this.
Yeah.
How did you learn how to ski in Iowa?
So I didn't there. I did a little bit when I was at the University of Minnesota, but skiing in Minnesota is very cold and very dark because it gets dark there. But we lived in Vancouver, British Columbia for 3 years, so I was a faculty member up there for 3 years, and Whistler is up there. So that was where I learned to ski. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Because I know, for those of you who don't know, part of the reason he knew about Utah is because he came out here skiing.
Came
with his
skiing for many
family a
years.
lot, so-
Yeah, our family did. And that's why our kids were excited when they heard that I was thinking about Utah. I said, well, great place to be.
We should get everybody home for Christmas.
That's right.
What purchase of $100 or less have you made in the last year that has made a difference in your life?
Great question. Inflation makes that more difficult to answer, but
Oh, close.
but anyway, there's a book which I read last year, which actually helped me think about it. It's called Writing for Busy Readers, and very good book because it forces people to think about the essence of a message and how you don't say too much in it. And anyway, it's got lots of great tips. So if you are looking to write better and more persuasively, good book.
Okay, so that goes to my next question.
Yeah.
What book have you gifted the most in the last few years?
Good question. Different. I'll give you a different one on that one. So, Life on Purpose by Victor Strecker. When we were doing lightning round, long answer. When
It's
we
fine.
were writing, working on leadership at WashU, I was thinking about the basis of leadership is your why. What type of positive impact you want to have in the world, and the concept of purpose is very powerful for that. The book by Vic Strecker is a great book because it provides some research on it, but it also just tells the power of that concept. And so I encourage you to read that or some other book on purpose. I think it's been very, very good for many reasons. I talked with the Gardner Policy Institute, by the way, also this morning about that, and encourage them to get that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, what business leader do you look up to the most?
I'm going to switch just to a world leader, and I think apropos for our time, Abraham Lincoln, I think, is a leader who brought the country together at a time when there was tremendous division by bringing the greatest minds on that. So I think we could use that today in the world, no matter what political persuasion you come from.
Yeah, I agree. And I agree with that too, because what a crazy time that was, right? What is one exotic destination on your bucket list?
You and I know we both have a passion for travel and international travel, but the one place I haven't been, I think you have been, is Africa. Our family has wanted to do a safari at some point, and we have not done that. We were also supposed to go to Machu Picchu this summer, but something got in the way. Oh, coming here. Oh, that's right. So that's right.
Highly
worth it.
recommend Machu Picchu too.
Yeah,
That was like one of my favorite places.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to transition to you. Because we have an online audience, please raise your hand and wait for the mic to get to you. But yeah, anybody have a question from the audience that would like to ask? Kurt? Yes, can you get the mic to him?
Hello? Okay, gotcha. I think my name is Matt Barber, class of 04. I don't know if we're doing that, but
Go for it.
it's. I think we're all thinking it, and so I'm just going to ask it. On November 23rd, when we play the Cyclones, who are you rooting for?
Great question.
Be honest, we'll know if you're lying. We're all Utes.
I'll tell you, I'll be wearing a Ute Ute gear on the outside. How's that? You can't have me forsake my my homeland completely, but that's right. But I'll wear that on the outside.
That's a great question.
And they both have red in their colors also.
So no.
My entire family's coming for that, by the way, both kids and wife. Yeah.
That's awesome. Anyone else?
Our faculty were never this quiet at all of our faculty meetings, that's right. Yeah.
Down on the front, but wait till the mic gets for the online people, sorry.
Hi, Paul Lyon, class of way back when. What would be some of the best practices that you've carried forward from your prior roles, and how might you know, your predecessor, I would say, was a bit of a rule breaker, which I adore.
Yes.
How about you? I mean, best practices, any rules broken?
That's a great question. You know, one of the things which I've been thinking a lot about, that I learned a lot about at WashU and was passionate about, is this notion of how we think about the whole student. And what do I mean by that? You know, a couple outcomes which we'll definitely be looking at on the academic side is certainly the learning side, the big graduation rate, as well as career outcomes, which are all natural business school outcomes. But there's a couple other things as we think about student success, which you know, I came to understand over time, which I think I want us to think about. One of those is about how students see themselves and think about themselves as leaders in terms of that. And so we had a concept there we called leadership identity on that, which students have the confidence to go out and make a positive impact in the world. Harder to measure, but really helping them think about themselves, their place in the world. A second piece of this also on the whole student is, I'm going to use a broad term for it on it, which is wellness. And so, you know, what do I mean by wellness? By wellness, I mean helping our students to deal with some of the challenges that they face coming in. As a public institution, we'll have students coming from all different walks of life, rural and urban, some students who come in with financial challenges, other students who don't. Anyway, all kinds of different challenges. And so one of the statistics that some of you may have heard is we did a survey a couple years ago, and a quarter of our students had food insecurity. In other words, some of them didn't know where their next meal was coming from, right? And it's hard to graduate. It's hard to be in class if you can't deal with that. So I want us to think about how we help our students achieve their career success, but also getting rid of all the things that will impede that. And that's a special part of being a residential university as opposed to an online university, that we can help a student discover themselves, to borrow a mountain analogy, to seek and reach their peak. And so I think that involves getting a whole, you know, thinking about the whole student. So I think we'll measure a lot. That was the other piece that did quite a bit at WashU, is identify some metrics and think about making sure that we are tracking on those metrics and hitting it. So bring in some of the business pieces of that also. In terms of following Taylor is quite a opportunity and a challenge, right? Taylor had said cleared a path for us, which is amazing on that. And so I'll be walking not in his shadow, but building in his, you know, building on the strength that he has had in terms of that. And I'm very proud and excited to be able to do that. He's been very supportive of me, and I'm deeply appreciative of that.
Francis, do you have any online?
Not yet, so type up online.
Okay, no worries. We have one more in the audience.
Hi, my name is, is that on? My name is Dave Bauman, and I am a graduate of the U undergrad and my MBA at the U.
Great.
When I was growing up, I lived near the University of Utah, and there was never a question where I was going to school. It's the only school I applied for my undergraduate. And everybody I knew that I was going to the U, and everybody I knew was going to the U themselves. I think most of my friend group came to the U. Anecdotally, in my neighborhood in the last probably decade, I've seen a lot of our just neighborhood kids going to other schools. And that could just be the pocket that I live in, but they may go out of state, they may go to Utah State, they may go to BYU, UVU. To what extent does that concern you, if it concerns you at all, or is it part of maybe a national trend that people are looking for a different experience than their hometown school? and we are welcoming kind of a more diverse population in our business school.
Great. That's actually a really interesting observation and question. We should be the best in the Mountain West. We should be the destination for every student in the entire region here. In fact, if you think about drawing a big circle, probably more of an oval on it, but all the way from not quite the coast of California, all the way to almost probably the Mississippi River where I was at, and then north and south, right? We should be, if you actually look at the schools in there, we should be the best public school in there. Maybe even better in Texas eventually. Maybe we're quite there, but thinking about, there's a spot we can own where students from across that region, should think about the U, and for many should be their first choice. Now, whether they come here, that's another story. But we should be on their map as the business school in there. I guess the other thought on this, we do get right now at the U, as I understand it, somewhere around 65% of our applicants are from the state of Utah. That's actually a very healthy situation for us to be in. Other states with similar populations as a state are going to struggle. That we as the U and as the David Eccles School of Business can really build on that to become to up our game and to be a place where the best students want to come. So again, whether they come here, we should aspire for students to go where they fit. But we should be the place where they are thinking of as that they can belong and want to be and can achieve the most here. That's what I want us, I guess, to think about. They can achieve the most here.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Achintya Mahajan, and I'm actually currently still a student at the David Eccles School of Business. But I was just wondering about the impact that reading and books have had on your career so far, and if there might be any books that you would recommend to a student interested in learning more about management and leadership.
Yeah, great question on that. And so yeah, the two I mentioned are a couple. And in terms of, I guess, thinking about leadership in general, it's a concept which transcends time and situations. So I have actually enjoyed reading a lot of biographies across different leaders. In part, you just get to hear different people's stories from all walks, and can find one that resonates for you and inspires you. And so I would look out for finding a lot of presidential biographies I found to be really interesting actually. Obviously here we have a special biography. If you haven't read it, the David Eccles biography is actually really, really interesting. Out of print, so we got to figure out, I think, maybe how to deal with that. But I think you can understand the history of our state. And then there's tons of how-to books out there on it. And so, one of the books I'd also give out was the psychology, the art and science of influence, which is actually a fascinating book, which applies to almost a student if you are in any, going into any career path. We all have to persuade and persuade others. Yesterday I was with our alums who is an entrepreneur, but he said what you need as an entrepreneur is you need sales, and that's about persuasion. In terms of it. So I guess that's another book, and it's by Robert Cialdini, by the way. It's a great book on that. So, yeah.
I would recommend Dare to Lead by Brené Brown. It's a fabulous book, and it's a really good introduction to how to become a leader, and it has lots of great suggestions in it. And she did a lot of research too. She's from the University of Houston. Now I think she's at the University of Texas, but she has a great TED Talk too on leadership and vulnerability and trust, and a good one too. So, yes, over here, far right.
Thank you. Yusuf Salami, class of 2013. First, welcome.
Thank you.
Technology in general and AI in particular is changing our behavior preferences and even the way we learn, especially when it comes to the youth. As you begin your tenure, I wonder how you going to help the business school prepare for the new way of learning, the new way organization or the new expectation organizations are looking at the future applicants that coming to apply for internship or for work.
It's a great question. In fact, when Paige and I have been talking, had a lot of the dinners with our alumni board, and when I've been talking to other business leaders around, that's an issue which is on everyone's mind. Certainly on how are we going to do that, what are we going to do in terms of that, and that's a space where I think, we're going to need to do a couple things. One is have some of our faculty lead out on that in terms of who are in that space. Not only the technology space, but then coming back to the quantitative analysis. I think the analytics is so important today for students in any area that you're going into, which is foundational to the technology side. And so again, that's one of the reasons why that quantitative analysis, I think, is key. Another place that I think we need to think about is how we partner across the U. The U is making a big investment in AI, and we've got to figure out how the business school can be a part of that. We have one of our faculty members who is on the Responsible AI working group on learning, who's at the business school. And so this is an issue we have to ensure that all of our students coming out here are ready to walk out and be able to be very successful in this modern economy and tomorrow's economy, which is hard to predict, but we need to be ready for that. Great question.
Back row.
I'm, excuse me. My name's Stephen Kundick, class of 2017. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is a really important topic these days, and as a state institution, we need to work closely with the state, and our legislature has, decided that maybe those are swear words. How do you think about diversity, and in light of some of the restrictions that have been put in our place, how do you intend to continue to maximize all the benefits that come from focusing on diversity?
You bet. Certainly we as an institution need to be a place where students from all over feel this is their place, again, whether that is a rural area of Utah, whether that is urban part here in Salt Lake City, whether that's from another country, actually. Also, in terms of that, as well as many different identities, we will be stronger as an institution with those students from all over. One of the foundational things that we're working on with regards to this is the concept of belonging, so that everyone finds their place and feels that this is a place which they fit in terms of that. And we're going to think about that in a few different ways, and I'll mention a couple. But certainly one, it starts with the first day a student walks in here, that we help them as a freshman find their people in terms of that, as well as being willing to step out and meet people which are different from them. And I think that's just such an important part, but that duality is such an important part about the student experience, being able to feel comfortable, but also be challenged to explore new parts of the world. And so, our student affairs team is working hard to think about, how do we do that? How do we support that? Another area around this is that the ACSB, which is the accrediting body of business schools, which we are a part, has nominated us to talk about the work we're doing on the concept of belonging. And so we are we'll be filming in about 3 weeks some of our faculty who work on different aspects of, one of them is around mental health issues on it, as well as showing the faces and backgrounds of different students who come through the U, so that the world can see that if you come to the U, that business is for you, and this is a place that you belong, and that our students who walk through here will feel that. So part of this is helping to realize that, and again, this is something that we'll be navigating throughout the fall on thinking about what changes do we need to make to ensure that we are aligned with what the U is doing on this, and how, again, are there places where business can lead so that every student feels that this is a place for them, and that we're with them, behind them, if they have a community here which is going to, again, allow them to seek and find their peak.
In the blue shirt.
Hi, Dean Dirks. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm curious to hear what your vision or your ideas behind what role alumni can play in advancing the mission of the David Eccles School of Business, how they can stay involved, and if I'm an alum who doesn't really know where to begin, what I can do to help.
That's awesome. And again, I think, as I mentioned before, one of the things I have been impressed with is that connection to the U and the feeling of the U and people who want to help or be a part of it. Yesterday, I was at office down, actually up north, I think it was, lost my sense of direction. But, and we saw, that CEO had the pylon from, the stadium in there and and you go other places and see people seeing the U and feeling it. So we need to be able to draw on that. Places where I think alumni can help are a few places. Certainly one is to give us feedback on how our students are doing. Are they prepared? Things like that. So if I've been asking people that, are there gaps that we need to do? So part of it's starting with feedback in that. Second, as Paige mentioned, internships is going to be a key place for it. So the people who come behind you, who are still right now, the people who will be walking in your shoes need opportunities to be able to discover what it means to do a job in your industry and to gain experience in that. So we're going to be working on that with the Center for Career Success to be able to think about that. So we'll keep a lookout on how you might be able to be involved in that. We have mentor programs that can be involved in to be able to connect with alumni so our students can see what it's, the people who are supporting them get advice, things like that. And as a dean, I have to mention that you can also donate to the U in various ways also. So there's also, but anyway, large and small, any type of interaction we can use your help on. And I think what will be, I recognize this at WashU with the challenge we have, which all institutions have, is creating pathways for alumni who want to get involved to be able to get involved, and that's something that we'll have to figure out what those pathways are to be able to get people involved in it. So thank you for that.
Hi, I'm Chuck Sharp, 96. It's been a little bit. Paige, good to see you. Kurt, quick question. So I had a professor when I was here who basically changed the trajectory of my career. It was one class, I totally remember it. And it took me in a totally different direction. Did you have something like that? And could you talk a little bit about it and any advice for people who teach on kind of how they can do that for students?
Great example. And I'm going to give my personal example, and then I'm going to give a concept which I brought from WashU to think about that. So here, I went to undergraduate, I said, to Iowa State, and then started working for a few years, and I had realized that what I was doing was not my future. It was not something that was future, but I didn't know what that future was. So what you do when you do that, you go back to graduate school. All right. But anyway, I went back to graduate school at Iowa State, and I walked in one day, into office of a professor, a guy named Max Wortman, and Max and I talked for maybe an hour. I can't even tell you why I walked in there. Somebody said, "Hey, you need to go see Max," and Professor Wortman. And at the end of that conversation, Max said, "Hey, why don't you come work for me for this? I got some. You can work as teaching assistant. Maybe you do a little bit of research for me." That offer put me here today because it gave me an opening, right, a different pathway than I knew before or thought about on that. And so that was, and that led me to discover my purpose. Academia eventually allowed that. It also, by the way, that random thought, I ended up going to University of Minnesota because of Max, where I met my wife. So that random walk in the office not only helped me discover my purpose, but my passion was family. On that, eventually led me to that. What's the lesson from that? Lesson from that, I think, for students who are in there is to maybe do some things which you might not expect on it, to try some new things, do some things which you may put you in uncomfortable, you may not be thinking about, and that will lead you in random ways which you may not expect and would never do unless you step foot in that. The related concept then, that's point one. Point two, which I want to think about, what does this mean for the David Eccles School, is at WashU we had a concept that was important, that student success is we wanted to have every student have someone know them by name and story. What did that mean? That meant that the students, there was someone there who they could connect with personally, right? Someone who could help that person that they felt a connection with was with them, behind them, could give them advice or support. And we found that that had a very big impact on all kinds of student outcomes. In some cases for you and me, right, maybe it was helping to find, a new passion. For other students who are going through a tough time, that they have someone to go to help them. Other people, maybe a mentor and things like that. And so we are a very large school. We have, I think right now, 5,700 undergrads. We're up this year again. Great news. But we got to think about how do we take a concept where our students feel like they have someone there for them and with them, and our faculty know that they can make a difference in their lives. So I think that's the power of what we have as an institution, to be able to do that in the personal touch, in addition to that, what's happened in the classroom. Great question. Thank you.
We found that to be true this summer too, right?
That's right.
It's very interesting. You're not alone in that. I think probably a lot of people in this room would say there was one professor in particular that really stood out for them and really helped change their lives. So it's a really worthy thing. I love that idea of having someone know your story. I think that's a great idea. So
Yeah.
we probably have time for one more question, if there's one more. Does anyone wants to ask? Yes, in the back. She needs the mic. And then you guys can add up.
It's on, right? Okay. Hi. It's actually for both of you. Given everything you guys have accomplished, where you are now, and all of the hats, family, everything that you juggle, I'm always curious, especially for people in the business, in any business, right, who are entrepreneurs or committed to a company. How do you plan your week? How do you plan your time and find your balance? Because everybody has a concept. You have so many things you're looking to tackle. You have so many things conceptually that are a wonderful idea. So how do you find the tangible steps throughout the week? And that's for both of you, because obviously, being the first female student body president, you were managing many, many things, let alone other people. So always curious.
Okay, let me go first.
Go ahead.
I think that the most important thing is being clear about what your objectives are in life. And so I have really formulated like 4 principles that I really try and base my life on. And one of those is truly to make sure that I spend time with the people, and so like relationships, experiences, and my health are those things that you have to make time for, because that's what really makes life, really important. And I will say over my career, I truly did put priority on those things, even though work was super important to me. I had a really great career, but I never let it override those things. So I also have a great husband here on the front row who, and today's our 44th wedding anniversary.
Oh, hey, congratulations. Awesome, that's awesome.
So we have 2 great kids. So we made that a priority, because in the end, those are the things that really matter, but we both also had great careers. So I would say being clear about what your priorities are, and then really focusing on those and making time for those, maybe not every single day, but every single week, and for sure, over the life of your career, it'll really pay back in many, many ways. So, I don't know what you would say.
Let's see, a few things. One, I love the idea of being clear on what your priorities are, and that's why I love that Life on Purpose book. It helps. I think it helps a person focus to come back to when life gets hazy, in terms of that. So I think that's one. A second item. I'm a big routine guy, and so routine helps me do that. Third is one of my former boss had said, if you're going to do academic leadership, you have to have endurance, and so stay physically fit on that. And so, and he's right? It's days for all of us, right? No matter just this role, but any role you get long. So take care of your health in terms of that. Family matters. And then last, you got to have a good team who help you out. And so all of you who know Terry was in here somewhere. Terry makes my life so much easier in terms of all the things she does for me. And helps me, as well as all of our executive team who really carry the ball so that our school looks great. And so that's the secret, I think, also, is that you don't do anything alone. You work with a great team who work together, and you can achieve a lot more together. So
Totally
that's right.
agree.
Yeah.
Good. All
Hey,
right, well,
thanks for being with us. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks very much. We appreciate the time. I don't know if you guys are going to say anything on your closing. I know the sponsors of the show. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming today and for this wonderful discussion. We would like to invite you to our upcoming Eccles School Convocation Address featuring Arthur Brooks. Arthur Brooks is a Harvard professor, PhD social scientist, and best-selling author who's all about turning top-notch science and philosophy into practical advice for living your best life. He teaches at Harvard Business School, where he dives into topics like leadership, happiness, and social entrepreneurship. Through his work, he's dedicated to helping people find both personal and professional fulfillment. So the event will be held on September 12th in the George S. Eccles Auditorium in the Spencer Fox Eccles Business Building from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. The event is free and open to the business community, and you are welcome to invite guests. So the registration link is eccles.link/convocation, and we hope to see you there.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. We'd love to hear your thoughts on today's forum. Please scan this QR code or go to eccles.link/forum feedback and take a few minutes to let us know about today's topic and any topics you'd like the Eccles Alumni Forum to discuss in the future. If you'd like to hear more from Dean Dirks, tune into the Eccles Business Buzz podcast at eccles.link/businessbuzz or wherever you download your podcasts. New episodes drop every Thursday. And finally, the moment everyone's been waiting for, lunch is available outside the auditorium. Thanks.